Hey guys, Paul Harrison here. I do apologize for getting this what's the name out to you late. Again, some of these things going on just in it seems to be crazy stuff going on to the follow up to the end of the year. So it's yeah, apologies for that. We'll leave it at that. Okay, what we got here is DWA. This is from Friday, so obviously we've got Friday's action here as well. This has been done on Sunday night. We've got some support around about here on the 1640 mark. It's bounced once. Obviously, it has gapped here. Now, it's gapped down slightly here. It sold off quite aggressively, gapped down a little bit. But it's bounced once and then it's come back and it's raised slightly back up again, but come back down again. And this is traditionally what you can see. Obviously, some consolidation along this line after a sell off. You can see it did exactly the same thing here. There was some internal support around about the $17 mark after that breakout, the breakdown, sorry, the gap down. Consolidated a little bit where there was some previous support, so there was some buy orders sitting around there. I'm sure possibly some people got into this trade there as well, but after the gap, obviously it sold off a little bit more now. It seems to be consolidating on the second line of support there. Again, I think there still is some additional momentum there, so I would be concerned about trading that as it's taking a bit of consolidation there at the moment. Then we have Romeo Sierra. And here we have some resistance around about the 58.50 mark, something like that. It had a pretty big up day on Friday, so yeah, it's gone to a new high for the year. If I was looking to trade this, I would be very, very wary of it because obviously it was a pretty big day on Friday. It was a big up day. Well, it went pretty high and then came back down a little bit. So if I was going to trade it, I would certainly be looking at a stop order in order to get into that trade. Certainly not a limit. OMI. Reason being, because if you got into a limit, then obviously you're going to get this straight away, and I would not be surprised to see that stock keep going north. Here we have a support line. I couldn't identify any other reason why this was actually put up there. We did have some support around about the 27.60 mark. It has sold off a number of days below there, unless the person who put it on there is looking at this. Now, this is just too short a time frame for me to be able to trade it. So we're looking at late September, October, then a little bit of consolidation here around November. The only thing I like about this stock, and bear in mind I wouldn't trade it because it is within 4 months. It's less than 4 months trading there. Yeah, it's within 4 months, so I wouldn't trade. The only reason that I do like this, but again wouldn't trade it, is because it has broken that support line. So it's giving you an indication that potentially it could go shorter, but it's just too short a time frame for me to take realistically there on that downward trending resistance. Then we had Romeo Hotel Tango, and I couldn't really see too much of a reason to trade this, unless again a very short-term downward trending resistance line, but that's far too short-term for me. Horizontal support maybe around that area, just not clearly defined enough really for me. You got that's a tiny little bounce there, then you got a bounce there, then you got maybe a bounce there as well, but I just don't consider this enough of a bounce right here to get into that trade. So then we have November umbrella, and some slightly downward trending resistance line, bounce. Then we have an upward, maybe, well, yeah, that's the only reason I could really even see if I was pushing hard to find a trade for that. Then we had Charlie Romeo November, and some resistance just below the $5 mark. Anything else to be aware of on there? Not really. It's maybe it's just a little bit too small, a little bit small, but it's still a pretty good pattern. You got a decent ratio there as well. So yeah, no other huge things, nothing else you haven't seen there before. Mike Sierra Bravo, and again I couldn't find huge reasons to trade this one. You've got a slightly downward trending resistance line. If we're trying to say that this is an area of support around there is, but it hasn't come down further enough. You've got maybe two bounces there, unless you're looking at more than a 1 year time frame for that. Then we have ANF, and that's a bounce there, a bounce there, and a bounce there, a downward trending resistance line. It has gapped up, and yeah, it gaps a fair amount, this stock, this Abercrombie and Fitch. I guess there's some people who go shopping at certain times of the year or what have you. But yeah, nothing untoward with that. Then we have PII, which is an upward trending support line. So you got bounces here, here, here. It looks pretty solid. The support line. Again, the stock has put in maybe about a week's worth of bounces on here, as opposed to here it would maybe put in 2 or 3 days. Just little things like this tell you a little bit about the personality. It didn't rally hugely, but again, it's always going up there. It always has been going up so far. Then we had Charlie Kilo, and what I could see here was obviously some internal resistance there. Upward trending support, bounce, 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 bounce. Pretty big down day on Friday. So if I was looking at trading the stock hypothetically, of course, then I would look for a better entry point than that. That's just a too big a day. Obviously, you've got to use a stop order. It's upward trending support line. I would most certainly want to use get in there with a better price than what we would be looking at the moment. So probably not one to trade right away, but possibly one to keep your eye on there, depending obviously on what else you've got that you're looking at. We have USB, which again is an upward trending support line, bounce, bounce, bounce. Anything untoward, maybe a slightly downward trending resistance line, but again the stock is continuously getting higher. Let's have a look at this entry point. You see, that's a much more refined entry point than the previous stock. That's really what you're looking for. It's a lot more textbook. Again, I don't think the range is going to be as good on this stock as what the other one was. But just as far as looking for a better entry point, that's the important one there. Then we have Dow, and again a downward trending resistance line, so bounce, bounce, bounce. The lows are getting lower here, which is a pretty good sign. It did have a big up there on Friday, so I'd be watching that. I wouldn't be ready to trade right now. You'd obviously be looking to use the stop order on that, but you're looking for a good entry point there. And then CAVM. And there we have some degree of downward trending resistance line, marginal. Again, it's probably gone. Let's have a look at what it did on Friday. Yeah, so put in 3 days on there, put in basically a shooting star, and then continued down on the Friday there. So clear zoom. Nothing too other concerning about that. Obviously, be aware of some internal support around about the $30 mark. But that is about it, folks. As far as I won't be taking the webinars tomorrow, the evening webinars, I'll be taking the lunch webinars. But next weekend and the next Monday and the Monday after that, obviously both public holidays. So we won't be doing webinars from there. But yeah, I shall still be around on the forums and stuff like that, even when in sunny South Africa. So I will be in touch, and all the very, very best. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye bye.